Stuck on a feeling. InShalla and Ashe. Blessings to you, my energetic beings. Sending blessings to you, I should say. But it's the highest of the highest, otherworldly, galactic, juicy day, and the universe truly is otherworldly, vibrating to this vibration that truly equals the frequency of our frequency. You might not feel it as you're like in your skin, but just being hyper aware, I love energy of days like today. I really have a few harmonics that are really in the same alignment. So it doesn't seem as otherworldly. It kind of just seems normal for me, but it might feel otherworldly for you. Meta symbols, kind of, that's what it is. So kind of be the fish in the pond and kind of see where you swim and who's swimming with you. So the energy really is like swimming in the ethers. So welcome to today's daily snippet. Once again, I am your host. I'm a practicing holistic shamedium, a subtle energetic surgeon. I just merged the indigenous technologies, the spirit of the Dagara tribe in Burkina Faso, which was magical, with the subtle energies, the elements, the elemental beings, basically the realm of the elemental into the imaginal. I have offerings, rituals, and prescriptions to really aid you in your corridor, your personal container. But honestly, in integrity, my intention really is to merge these indigenous technologies, the spirit of the Dagara, within the subtle realms and the etheric highway to assist you into navigating your inner genius. Just reintroducing yourself to the being that really resides within you, the magical essence that you truly are. My name is Tanya D, and as always, welcome to my virtual medicine room. I feel like I should tote my bell or play my drum. But if you haven't already, please be kind and do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Tanya D. Hit the bell button so you're notified. And also, if you don't mind, like the videos. So this YouTube algorithm really will echo out and suggest me to other like-minded musers in the galactic universe. And being that the energy of today is in a state of otherworldliness, feelings might be feeling a little bit wonky in the thread lines. So the ultimate feeling we want is one of the element of water. It's our peace, it's our serenity, by the way, and to be into the flow. There's not going to be a daily snippet tomorrow. I'm going to be hosting my Immersion, Voices of the Other World, talking about water, the elementals, the spirits, and the attributes of the element, and so much more. But with all of that, the messages of the day, I went with my otherworldly spirits of the ethereal deck that I have, which I totally love. But we have the 9 of Cups, which I thought was kind of funny when I talked about being a fish in the ocean, swimming in the pond or whatnot. But with all the heart's desires we have within reach, just as our fingertips, they're swirling like this rich golden tones of this massive school of fish in this whirlwind here. But they're tumbling and they're slicing through the waves in this frenetic kind of way. I don't know if you can see the vortex in the water, but it's kind of spasming, it's exuberant, it's this massive body, and it seems to kind of squeeze the water out from the space that it's in, the container. So there's this sensual delight in this sleek forms brushing past our little guy's skin there. Or, they're singing the joy of life. But there's abundance to be found for taking or talking to those who really reach out. And the world extends an offering of pleasure, just intoxicating us within that beauty of the card there. So this is grace in the swirl of the fish. And as the fish are swimming in unison and they're spinning through the water as these organic beingness of oneness, rather than as hundreds of little separate creatures, they're kind of swimming within their own harmonic and they're choreographing their own dance. So this really is symbolic of health and prosperity and great fortune. And the cups, the 9 of Cups is kind of enticing us with the pleasure of our senses, it's emotions. So it's like satisfaction and wish fulfillment. And also, it's the future, the futuristic future. It's being assured for us that there's really is bounty on the horizon. And I really do find it funny that I was talking about water today and to be a fish in the water. With the school of fish, if you will. And then, there we go. Make sure I got the right one. Yes, the next one comes the Nine of Swords as well. So we've got storm crows heralding, kind of impeding this delusion. With voices, they're cawing, they're racist, they're in their absolution, they're going round and round and spiraling near and near. So it's like one future sought and one future is feared. So the funnel of the sky, it's stretching up and out into the heavens. I don't know if you can see that in the card, but it's a super groovy spiral there, a vortex. But it's got this ominous tower of storms and this tiny glimmer of hope, lighting the eye of the storm and the turmoil, like right in the peak of it. So it's like, come to me and come to me. That's kind of the voice of the storm crow. They're whispering to our gallant little gentleman down there. They really want to guide him through this storm. And he's feeling ancient and he's gazing upwards out into this storm clouds. He's oblivious to the proposal of the guidance through the dark night of the soul, if you will. So he's clutching his sword and he's closed into it for security. And he could easily really just grasp his blade and like put it up into the sky to light the way. But he's kind of ignorant that he is holding his own beacon, right? Maybe he's too weak. Maybe he's weak-hearted. Maybe he's too nervous. But he's suffering from this inner anguish. And he's got swords tattooed upon his breastplate there. They're kind of these little pinpricked markings, if you will. They represent regrets of his experiences. So he's been tormented by this inner fear, this anxiety, this guilt, the uncertainties in the night sky. But he's a being of the air clan, the air tribe. So his wings really should be carrying him upward and outward. And the sky really should be open and expansive, a world of freedom. But instead, he feels like he's in a trap and he's getting closed in on, and the jaws are just closing in upon him, and the winds are howling. So the storm is kind of approaching, if you will. But on the other side of the coin, if he would have just cast away his doubts and his fears, he could be as free as those storm crows, if you will. So there's this spiral in these untroubled arcs above. And really the Nine of Swords is swirling with this inner turmoil. It's a moment of feeling vulnerable with our soul, laying out all of our demons and guilt and fear and locking our muscles in to be immobile and just understanding the source of these fears and really learning what they mean, possibly where they're stemming from or coming from, and knowing that strength to break through, to break free of what is holding us back lies within our own heart. So we've had the nines to the nines this morning, the double nines there. So to finish up the messages of the day, we've had this card before, our story of the day, the message or the story of the day, but the Seven of Wands. So there's this cauldron of fire, and actually we've had all the elements. I guess I could have pulled one more card and seen if I pulled the Pentacles, however, but this is the sevens, their reflection, it's assessment, it's evaluation. So we come from the nines of compromise and compassion and spirituality to go into the space of reflection, assessment, and evaluation, but also spirit. Seven is also spirit, and nines are also the action of Mars, the doing, not the trying, but it's the doing. So we're the doing before, and then we go into spirit. So I pulled this card before, probably more than once. But we have this vixen facing off against a badger, or I should say with her baby vixens. The little babies are kind of watching from beneath her little protective little curled up towel. So it's like the enemy is circling and circling the badger, and they're kind of sizing up each other. They're doing a little nip here, a little test here, a little reaction there, kind of to swipe and press the defenses. But one vixen will snarl and another is going to lunge forward, but she's got a brood to protect. She's got all her babies and she doesn't want to fail them. So there's fear for her brood. It kind of is burning in the action of her heart. So it's not just courage, it's kind of a necessity. So she's got all this courageous act and she's being selfless within the act, the nines, without the tangle of thoughts or jurisdictions, I was going to say, the jurisdictions. The control, but she's got this belief that makes her fight 10 times more ferociously and fierily and fiercely because she's got her babies, right? But the bamboo I don't know if you can tell, those are bamboo wands in that circle, kind of signifying the energy, the strength, and the fortitude within the fight, I guess. So the bamboo, bamboo has really possessed this suppleness that will sway in the wind. They don't break. They grow tenaciously in multitudes in a variety of directions, but they kind of compete for sun and also for space. But the Seven of Wands, it represents taking a stand, defending what we believe in. And really the world at the current thread lines, the moment, we're kind of on this topsy-turvy kind of strife, if you will, kind of competition, and really just having the courage and facing the difficulties that are kind of on the horizon and not buckling under the strong wind and swaying, being flexible like the bamboo, and just, even though the odds might seem insurmountable, they can all be come over through faith and courage. And our world today really appears to be ultimately taking a stand. I sense as much. I don't pay too much attention, but I just can sense it, I guess is the thing. But the elemental realm, which again, we have a yin wood goat of a day, the greatest of all time, the goat. Any goats out there? I'm a goat on the day or the year, I mean. But being that our yin wood day is also born in the tiger month, which is really the beginning of spring, I can kind of feel it edging in here. It's the birth of a new season. But the elemental wood is really getting stronger, and the yin wood is actually very strong in the tiger month as well. But the young tiger represents enemies, if you will, enemies to our day, because they're opposing forces. And the temperature of this chart is kind of low, and our day master, that's what our day, our yin wood is, it's our day master, needs support from the yang fire, the sun, and metal to be able to be effective and control the excess, the yang wood element. So the yin wood or the yin water can provide moisture to this chart if it's dry. And this chart can really handle a lot amount of earth and metal and fire. However, too much water is going to make that wood energy too wet, especially the yang water that we have a lot of. So metal is really unable to control or use the wood energy. And with all that water, it will become rusty. So the metal could be damaged and the wood will remain uncontrolled. So it's not very useful. So we kind of need to stimulate the metal element itself to bring balance to our day, as well as wet earth could be useful because it can produce more metal, the water, and exhaust the wood. But wood is actually already exhausting the water, if you will. Because of the excessive growth, it's kind of draining the water. It's got no support for the growth. And metal might help here to control the wood and support even the element of water. But wood really is exhausting the wet earth as well. There's a lot of it because it's at its peak as well. So when elements are at their peak, and we're in the peak of the season, so wood is really, it's like got the galactic force behind it. And wood is kind of unstable too because the roots don't have anything to grasp into. So why? Well, the earth is exhausted. There's not a lot of earth, our little goat down there. So it's like a combination of earth and water is kind of needed to bring balance. Because the chart is also really hot, and water or metal, those elements are more than likely, they don't have, their power is reduced. They're somewhat dysfunctional, if you will. So they can't be at their highest purpose, I guess. So both water and metal elements need to be stimulated, the yin water, but our day is actually really strong, but it really doesn't have any fire, which is the output. So it's unable to spend its excess energy, if you will. So it's not productive enough. It's kind of like a stalemate, if you will. It doesn't have anything to produce. So the fire element is also needed to make wood kind of busy to bring balance to our day. So I would really utilize metal or air, communication, storytelling, and fire. Feels like going to our ancestral altar and listening to the other world today, spirit space, because our future is obviously on a wave. One change in our future perspective in our day-to-day life changes, and then we can fill into the future of our options, the goals of where we belong. We might not have been to our final destination. Again, it feels like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or through the galaxy, but we're flowing through these threads. So if the future changes, our day-to-day changes as well. So we have these inner and these outer options to consider. So you might also find out that some options that you thought you had are dissipating, getting literally thrown out of the cage. They're just kind of responding to the bouncy balls that were in the playground that I talked about the other day. The sparks of the response, bouncing off a few things and bouncing off of our feelings. So really maybe be prepared to face unexpected feelings about the direction of our life's purpose, our inner genius, the meaning of our life, and really responding to our feelings with the ingredients of the level of the why, the way of the why, just unfolding in what we believe and where our heart truly belongs, the why. So fate, fate is a choice, not the choice that we often make, and destiny is what we do with it. So it's nothing in our possession. It's not what we're going to do. It's not something we can control ultimately. It's the future waves, right? But we can also be hopeful, however, right? Tuning into our feelings to feel where the future threads are really shifting. And just being that we have all these 22s for the whole year, a 22 day in a 22 year, all the 22s are really activated. So if you have a 22 anywhere in your natal chart in astrology, and I do. So they're going to be frequenting all these frequencies all year long. So you're going to feel like you're a bouncy ball, really. So we're in for a universal galactic shift, the transformation into a unforeseen future, a new one. And hopefully it's juicy. So the options are really out there to open to something new. Some things are really going to dissolve with Pluto, and our mind is going to play catch up. Like catch up with the idea. So it might be something from a year ago, a week ago, but just be hopeful. Be hopeful. Maybe you were hopeful, but then you realize that things are not going to be revived, like an old relationship maybe. So it's like the old now is the tower that's collapsing. So we might get some new insight being formed and coming together to create a new form, energy to matter. So it's like a shift of what is happening. It's like the nearer the destination, right? That song. But the boundary structure really is shifting. So once we weren't allowed to do something, and now we can. That's the shift of the structure, right? Bouncy balls. Things are bouncy balling. So with our crown online, it's kind of doing this double time thing. It's also, there's a transcendent center open. So it feels really a little bit otherworldly. I often wonder if it's our personal center, our otherworldly unique light that comes online with the energy of a day like today. It's like the transcendent outside the spirit octave. I don't know how to describe it exactly. But for now, not to get so confusing, because I do thought surf, however. But let's just stick with the crown and the higher octave shades, the whites, the violets, and the pinks. Pink is a combination of our root center and the crown coming online. And the moon herself, the goddess, she's in the later degrees of Gemini. So it's this otherworldly thought processors going on. And we also have what's called Black Moon Lilith, bringing us face to face with our galactic fears of the future in the season of Gemini. So that really is being mindful of our thoughts, and kind of dissipating the truth and the vision, the fear, dissipating that fear. Because we ultimately faced it. It just feels like a little bubble in the threads. So it's like faith, and put your voice actually in all the ingredients within the channel, into the faith channel, the God channel, the source, the oneness, whatever you want to call it, faith, and act on what you have faith in. Don't put anything on faith if you don't have faith in it. Act on what you really have faith in within yourself, trusting yourself, those gut instincts, even your spiritual acumen, as the good fortune and opportunity are kind of coming forward, presenting themselves, really tuning into your feelings, futuring your feelings, or bringing the future feelings back to the present moment. So if you feel really a little wonky, honestly, take a breath and a heart pause and release from all the things that are really no longer serving you. Again, I would affirm that I am elevating to my highest timeline through the channel of love and joy. I would also probably bring in the peace, the water, and also I just realized that I didn't share any essential oils for the goat. They're similar to the horse, but the goat really needs to discern between who is a good friend and who would victimize them. It's kind of this push-pull. And the small intestine pathway, that's the goat's highway. And it'll show up on the face as wrinkles on the forehead, the reflex zones of the face. So a mantra for goat people is I am equal, where the mantra for a horse, being the heart, is I am loved. So we have all of these juicies, with just how they play out. So with all of that, make it an otherworldly day, InShalla and Ashe. And again, I will be in the water immersion, Voices of the Otherworld, for the weekend. My musing moon meditation is also out the gate. But I will see you on Monday. Make it a juicy, love-filled weekend. And I believe we got some sports activities going on as well. So with all of that, InShalla and Ashe, blessings to you. I'll see you as always on the other side.